When I think of Audrey Hepburn, I see someone who exudes poise and beauty. The tale that lies underneath Hollywood's glitz and glamour may make even the hardest of hearts feel sympathy. After much speculation, Audrey's son has confirmed what many had suspected about the renowned actress. The tremendously gifted woman who won the hearts of people all around the globe is now revealed to the public thanks to her discovery. However, what may shock you the most is the untold chapter. When she realized she was dying, what did she think? You might be surprised by the answers. And do you know the legend of Audrey Hepburn? Leave an A in the comments if you do. Early life and wartime struggles. The story of Audrey Hepburn starts in 1929 inches Belgium. She was born to aristocratic parents, a Dutch baroness named Ella and a British merchant named Joseph. Growing up, Audrey had a packed schedule of adventures thanks to her parents' well-off status and the demands of their employment. Tragically, Audrey's carefree childhood was cut short when her father abandoned the family when she was 6 years old. This tragic occurrence profoundly affected Audrey. "I may have permanent lifelong insecurity due to leaving us." Audrey revealed that her mother, who she saw sobbing at every turn, was also profoundly affected by this ordeal. Throughout the night, she wept. In the adjacent room, I would be able to hear her weeping. I would make an effort to be at her side. From the moment he vanished, I felt an immense loss without him. After her father abandoned her, Audrey never really recovered. In a documentary, she would discuss the event's devastating impact on her mental health. Hepburn said that it's hard for a youngster to comprehend the powerlessness and strangeness of not knowing what to do while their father is away. As a youngster, that was my first major injury. It was a traumatic experience that affected me profoundly. There were other challenges that Audrey encountered as a youngster besides her father's absence. Britain went to war with Germany in 1939, not long after her parents split up. To protect her children, Audrey's mother uprooted the family and settled them in the Netherlands. However, that was not how fate worked. The Netherlands was occupied by the Nazis from the time of their invasion until 1945. "We may have all murdered ourselves if we'd realized we were going to be occupied for 5 years, Audrey said afterward, describing the profound impact the occupation had on her family. "We were hoping it would end next week, 6 months from now, or next year. In that way, we managed to prevail." In an interview, she revealed disturbing facts about the incident. "At one point, we were forced to relocate to the basement while our house was being shelled from all sides. We hid behind mattresses while we waited for the gunfire to subside. Their homes were raided, and my uncles were later shot. A sibling was dispatched to Germany. Hidden from view was the other. In Holland, my relatives were the initial hostages to be shot. The formation of an underground began on that day, therefore it was truly a turning point." During this time, Audrey showed tremendous courage by doing all she could to lend assistance to the resistance. To help fund the Dutch resistance, she would put on covert events where she would dance. Additionally, she took on the role of a courier, transporting documents and funds between two resistive workers. The fact that Audrey's parents were Nazi supporters made her heroic deeds all the more remarkable. Who would have thought that this courageous girl, who danced behind closed doors and subsisted only on tulip bulbs, would grow up to be a cherished figure in Hollywood? Still, casualties were high due to the conflict. Many people, including Audrey, were about to die of famine as food grew scarce. To stay alive, they started eating tulip bulbs. What would it be like? As a result of these struggles, Audrey developed chronic health problems that have persisted to this day. Audrey and her family relocated to Amsterdam when the war drew to a close. She trained with the world-renowned ballet teacher, Sonia Gaskell, allowing her to indulge her passion for the art form. From ballet to Broadway, Audrey immersed herself in dancing, which she may have used as a means of escaping the trauma of war. Ballet became Audrey's life's work after the war. She uprooted her life and went to Amsterdam to study under the legendary Sonia Gaskell. Since her family's fortune had evaporated, her mother had no choice but to take a job with a wealthy family to provide for them. Career. After making her Dutch film debut in 1948's 7 Lessons, Audrey entered the entertainment industry. In the fall of that year, she took a dance scholarship with Dance Rambert and relocated to London. She took up part-time modeling jobs to supplement her income, even though her classes were free. Rambert soon after informed her that she would never be a prima ballerina. Her frailty and little stature were effects of the starvation she suffered throughout the war. After much deliberation, Audrey chose to shift her career focus from dance to acting. Casting directors in Britain saw her and put her in supporting roles in films because of her graceful figure and distinctive appearance. In the 1948 musical theater performance of High Button Shoes, Audrey was featured as a chorus girl. Sauce Piquante and Sauce Tartare were two of her other films. During the same decade, she was a dancer at the famous London nightclub Ciro's. When Audrey got the role in the 1951 Broadway production of Gigi, it was a turning moment. Audrey received accolades for her performance, even though others thought the play didn't live up to the French film's expectations. She steals the show with her charisma and impeccable taste, says the New York Times. According to Esquire, she can perform so athletically that it would make a track meet look foolish. Theater World also gave her an award for her performance. Moving her career forward, Audrey spent time on Broadway. It was a time of coming into one's own and learning new things. Unlike in ballet, she was able to fully express herself on stage. She found her sanctuary on stage and flourished under the limelight. Audrey Hepburn's destiny was crystallized as news of her skills spread. Going from a war-torn Europe to the glitter of Broadway was only the start of her adventure. Hollywood was beckoning, and her time on stage had only prepared her. Roman Holiday marks your breakout role. From Broadway to Hollywood, Audrey's journey was enchanting. Roman Holiday, starring Gregory Peck, was cast in 1953 with her in the main role. The storyline of Roman Holiday was light and charming. While on a trip to Europe, the stunning Princess Anne meets the dashing Joe Bradley in Rome. While she is drugged, Joe, a newspaper guy, gives her a bed to sleep on since he believes she is intoxicated. He first fails to see that she is the princess, but upon more inspection, he devises a cunning scheme to spend time with her to secure an exclusive. Finally, love blossoms between them. Even though Gregory had an outstanding performance, everyone was completely enthralled by Audrey. It was a fantastic choice on the part of William Wyler to choose Audrey rather than Elizabeth Taylor in the role. During filming, Audrey displayed the natural skill that she possesses. Gregory Peck, who played her co-star, was so certain of her star potential that he requested that her name be given equal billing to his. This was an unusual gesture for an actress who was relatively unknown at the time. The film Roman Holiday was met with positive reviews and economic success upon its premiere. Audrey's portrayal of Princess Anne was so captivating that audiences fell in love with her. She was able to seamlessly mix vulnerability, comedy, and grace in a manner that was seldom ever seen in Hollywood during those years. Almost immediately, Audrey became a household name as a result of the popularity of the picture. It was a great accomplishment for her to win the Academy Award for Best Actress, which she received for her first significant film performance. Additionally, she was awarded both the Golden Globe and the BAFTA Award for her role in the same production, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Audrey Hepburn made one of the most outstanding performances of her life in the role of Holly Golightly in the film Breakfast at Tiffany's, which was released in 1961. Truman Capote's novella of the same name served as the inspiration for the new picture. A New York socialite by the name of Holly, who has a strange history, is the protagonist of this novel. The portrayal of Audrey created a figure who had the potential to be one-dimensional, but instead, she gave depth and emotion to the role. Her Holly was mischievous and hurt at the same time, gorgeous and lonely. At the beginning of the movie, Audrey is shown enjoying a croissant while wearing a beautiful black dress and pearls. She is also seen peering into Tiffany's window. After some time had passed, this specific moment would become one of the most famous pictures in the history of film. Although Capote disapproved of the numerous alterations that were made to the plot to make it fit for television, the film earned a great deal of praise. According to Capote, the actress who would have been more suitable to play Holly would have been Marilyn Monroe. Still, he couldn't help but compliment Audrey on how wonderful she was. He couldn't help himself. Audrey, wearing her distinctive black dress and pearls, peering out the Tiffany window while munching on a croissant, is a photo that has gone down in cinematic history. This picture was taken during the opening scene of the film. Many people think that her black dress has become the most famous example of a tiny black dress in the history of fashion. Although Audrey admitted that she is an introvert, she stated that playing Holly was the most thrilling part she had ever played in her performance career. When I was playing the character of the extroverted girl, it was the most difficult thing I've ever done and experienced. The performance that Audrey gave in Breakfast at Tiffany's earned her a nomination for an Academy Award. Even though she was unsuccessful, the film had an undeniable impact on the society at large. She received acclaim from all of the reviewers, who unanimously agreed that her performance was the highlight of the movie. Time magazine claims that throughout the first 30 minutes or so of the film, Audrey Hepburn's Holly from Hollywood is fairly comparable to Truman Capote's portrayal of the character she plays. The child bride from Tulip, Texas, Jolly Holly, who moved to Hollywood at the age of 15 to experience the better things in life, such as shoes, has not changed at all, even after she has kicked the cannabis habit and lost the kid she was carrying illegally. In the review that was published in the Chicago Tribune, it was stated that the peculiar, chaotic, clever, naive, and entirely contradictory figure that Truman Capote created could be transformed into a dull imbecile if it were written by someone else. A playgirl without morals, a moth who doesn't quite belong to Burnt to Death, Audrey makes her as endearing as she is naive, charming, and influenced. Audrey Hepburn's endearing performance in Breakfast at Tiffany's is a big reason why the film is still a classic. Her deftness in juggling comedic and dramatic elements, as well as her subtlety and vulnerability, were on full display. Both Audrey's abilities as an actor and her standing as a style icon were highlighted in the film. Breakfast at Tiffany's has maintained its charm for decades after its debut. That Audrey's performance has stood the test of time is a tribute to her universal appeal. Eventually, Holly Golightly was more than a caricature. She became an icon in the fashion industry and a cultural touchstone, synonymous with the legendary Audrey Hepburn. Similar to her influence in cinema, Audrey had a profound effect on the fashion industry. According to her son Sean Hepburn Ferrer, who was speaking about Audrey Hepburn in an interview, the actress wore stunning evening gowns by Givenchy and Valentino in Rome. In the winter, she wore peacoats with collars turned up and square-toed boots from the 1970s. In the summer, she wore cotton pants and Lacoste shoes. In the mornings, she would walk around the house in ballet slippers and a long robe. This pretty much sums up Audrey's style, on and off screen. While filming Sabrina in 1954, she worked with a French dress designer. Her lifelong friendship with him would alter the face of fashion in the entertainment industry and beyond. Audrey had an impeccable sense of style and never strove to impress others with her outfit choices. Effortlessly highlighting her features and form, she always favored understated, elegant outfits. According to her, women should find their looks rather than rely on trends. She invested in quality clothes and always sought elegant looks that complement her instead of making her stand out. Audrey went for underdressing rather than overdressing, stating that it is better to be the only one in a blazer at a black tie event than be the only one in a black tie at a blazer event. The little black dress Audrey wore in Breakfast at Tiffany's became one of the most iconic fashion moments in film history. A floor-length satin sheath, as Truman Capote's Holly Goes Lightly, she wore it with opera gloves, oversized sunglasses, and a multi-strand pearl necklace. Almost 60 years after the film's release, that black dress is still the ultimate definition of chic and glamour. This dress, along with her oversized sunglasses and long cigarette holder, created a look that women around the world sought to emulate. Off-screen, Audrey favored a classic, understated look. Her signature style included capri pants, ballet flats, and simple yet elegant dresses. She proved that ostentatious jewelry and skin-tight clothing weren't necessary for real taste. Beyond the realm of apparel, Audrey had an impact. During her peak, and even now, her cosmetic style is considered the gold standard. She looked very stunning with her makeup, which included strong eyebrows, winged eyeliner, and perfectly natural lips. She sparked a trend among 1950s women to cut their hair short, which was unusual at the time. Her fame as a fashion icon continued to rise as her career did. Her elegant but approachable style made her an inspiration to designers and an inspiration to the ladies who looked up to her. Audrey preserved her distinctive grace even as she devoted more time to charitable work in her latter years. Hepburn is so ingrained in our comprehension of fashion history that Rosalind of Vogue remarked on Audrey's legacies. Her wardrobe choices, whether on or off-screen, are classic and illustrative of the zeitgeist of the second part of the 20th century. The simple polo neck and comical face she wore in 1957, as well as the small black dress she wore as Holly Golightly, are now considered classic clothing from her flicks. The International Best Dressed Hall of Fame inducted her in 1961. Her on- and off-duty attire also served as inspiration for a clothing collection at Barney's department store. Her impact may be felt even now. Sandy Bullock, Beyoncé, Kendall Jenner, Natalie Portman, Taylor Swift, and Zooey Deschanel are just a few of the famous people who have been influenced by her. The costumes in shows like Big Little Lies, The Dark Knight Rises, and Emily of Paris were inspired by her on-screen style. Her iconic cinematic styles are often recreated or reinterpreted, and she is still a source of inspiration for fashion designers. Even after she has passed away, her style is still influencing the fashion industry. Love and family. She was able to maintain a healthy equilibrium between her professional and personal life. When her popularity was increasing in Hollywood, she was also experiencing growth in her personal life. During the run of Undine on Broadway in 1954, Audrey fell in love with Mel Ferrer, who was also a co-star in the production. They transformed their on-stage chemistry into a real-life love story and got married in Switzerland in the same year, concealing their relationship from the eyes of the public attention. According to Hepburn, in a letter to a close friend, "We want to keep it a dark secret to have it without having to deal with the press." The beginning of her marriage to Ferrer was filled with a great deal of joy for her. After a short period, the pair returned to their careers, where they were cast in the film adaptation of Leo Tolstoy's novel War and Peace. A miscarriage occurred shortly after Audrey became pregnant in 1955, and she was unable to carry the pregnancy to term. In 1959, she said that she had an accident while filming The Unforgiving, which resulted in the loss of another baby. In the years 1965 and 1967, the actress would go on to experience 2 more miscarriages. Fortunately, in the midst of all of these misfortunes, the couple was able to experience happiness in 1960 when they became parents to their first and only child, Sean Hepburn Ferrer. The 17th of July was the day that Sean was born, and to secure his safety, Audrey had to take a year off from work just before his birth. After experiencing so much sadness, the couple was presented as the golden pair due to the happiness and pleasure they had upon having their kid. On the other hand, happenings behind the scenes were rather different. Many people observed that Ferrer was possessive and jealous, even though Audrey emphasized that their marriage was a joyful institution. The director of the film, Alfred Lunt, said that Ferrer exploited Audrey's infatuation on him as a means to exert authoritarian control over her. Ferrer was accused of producing enough chaos to continue for a considerable amount of time, according to Audrey's mother, who sent a letter in which she referred to him as a frog-faced, antisocial individual with spindly legs. It has been stated that both partners in the pair cheated on their spouses at some point throughout their marriage. It is said that Audrey had a secret connection with William Holden, who was married and appeared in the film Sabrina. William Holden was also a co-star in the film. It has also been alleged that she was romantically involved with the screenwriter Robert Anderson for some time. It was discovered that Ferrer had engaged in many relationships all on his own. In 1968, Audrey and Mel divorced after being married for a total of 14 years. However, the love tale of Audrey was not yet finished. Andrea Dotti, an Italian psychiatrist, encountered her when she was on a tour around the Mediterranean. Following the whirlwind romance that they shared, they tied the knot in 1969. The following year, in 1970, Audrey gave birth to her second son, Luca. Once more, Audrey chose to withdraw from the public eye to focus on her time with her family. Nevertheless, this marriage was not without its difficulties. Their relationship was put under pressure as a result of Andrea's frequent absences and the rumors of her cheating. 18 years later, in 1982, Audrey and Dotti finalized their divorce. Audrey was able to find a long-lasting love with the Dutch actor Robert Wolders, despite the personal challenges she faced. She met Wolders in 1980 while she was still married to Dotti. Theirs was a whirlwind romance, and it wasn't long before the pair started spending hours talking to each other on the phone. Wolders shared with People's Magazine in 2017 that we were ready for each other. At the time in our lives that we met, we had both made our mistakes. If chance had had it that we had met at an earlier stage, we might not have had the discoveries together that we did have, and found those things in life together that were valuable to us at a later point in life when we were both more mature. The couple built a life together for more than a decade. Even though they never wed, Audrey viewed herself and Wolders as a married couple, sometimes introducing him as her husband on many occasions. Fans would have loved to see the couple married, but they were happy and content as they were. When Audrey would be asked, she'd also say, "Why mess with a good thing?" Wolders told People, "I remember her saying to one interviewer, 'It's more romantic this way because it's not another piece of paper, but out of loyalty to each other that binds us together.'" The couple shared a deep bond until Audrey's passing, and Wolders became not just a partner, but a companion in Audrey's humanitarian efforts. Throughout her life, Audrey's greatest role was that of a mother. She frequently remarked that her sons were the accomplishment of which she was most proud. She had a tremendous appreciation for family as a result of her experiences during the war, and she devoted her entire herself to the process of establishing a warm and nurturing environment for her children. She was successful in her efforts to instill a sense of love and affection in her children. Sean, her son, told Fox News that his greatest memory of his mother was the times when he made her laugh. This was his best recollection of his mother. Sean remarked that whenever I was able to make her laugh, she would laugh so hard that it would come from her gut. If you can make someone laugh and provide them with a moment of sunshine, it is one of the most valuable things you can take away from any relationship. On the other hand, there are a lot of times that I reflect about, he continued. The moment Mom transported me to the airport and I departed to start my first job is something that comes to mind. When I glanced around, I saw that she was crying. I was walking through the security checkpoint at the time. My experience as a father has given me the ability to comprehend the situation. On the other hand, I found a great deal of solace in the times when I was able to make her laugh. Abilities and passions that are less well known. The world was familiar with Audrey Hepburn as a dazzling movie actress. Nevertheless, there was a great deal more to her than what was initially apparent. Behind the scenes, Audrey had a wide range of interests and abilities, although only a select few were aware of them. The love that she had for gardening was one of her passions. She took great care of the stunning garden that she had at her house in Switzerland. I once heard her say that planting a garden is the same as believing in the future. This quotation does an excellent job of capturing the spirit of gardening as an art form that is filled with optimism. Gardening provided Audrey with a sense of relief, as it allowed her to connect with the natural world and divert her attention away from the stresses of her job. Besides being a talented performer, she was also a skilled linguist. Having spent her childhood in Europe at a period of upheaval, she has a natural talent for languages. English, Dutch, Italian, French, and Spanish were all languages that she spoke fluently. Her career as an actress benefited from this ability, and it also served her well in her subsequent efforts in the field of humanitarianism. Audrey has several hidden talents, one of which is her creative aptitude. Sketching and painting were two of her favorite activities, and she frequently produced stunning artwork for her loved ones and friends alike. In addition, she was a voracious reader. She utilized literature as a source of inspiration and comfort throughout her whole life, and her home was stuffed with books on a wide range of topics. She would occasionally quote her favorite authors, and she used literature as a source of inspiration. Audrey has a wonderful sense of humor, which may come as a surprise to many people. She was well known for her clever quips and enjoyed a good chuckle in her spare time. It was frequently mentioned by her fellow actors that she could brighten the atmosphere on set with her fun demeanor and the heart of a humanitarian. In 1989, Audrey was allowed to serve as a Goodwill Ambassador for UNICEF, which stands for the United Nations Population Fund. For her, this was more than just a job since it was so closely connected to the events she had had in her own life. As a youngster who lived through World War II, Audrey took her responsibility to UNICEF extremely seriously. She was a woman who survived the war. She had never forgotten the aid she received as a child in the Netherlands during and after the war. Now, she had the opportunity to give back and help children facing similar hardships around the world. Audrey traveled tirelessly to some of the most impoverished and war-torn regions of the globe. She visited Ethiopia, Sudan, Bangladesh, Vietnam, and many other countries, and used her fame to bring attention to the plight of children in need. She was very hands-on with her work, and didn't just lend her name to the cause. One of her most notable missions was to Somalia in 1992. During this visit, the actress witnessed the horrible effects of war and famine on those living in the area. She paid no attention to the personal risks and insisted on visiting remote areas to lend a helping hand to those in need. As she said, "As you grow older, you will discover that you have two hands, one for helping yourself and the other for helping others." She owes her complete and utter devotion to UNICEF to the experiences that she had when she was a youngster. I was one of the people who received food and medical help immediately following World War II, and she once stated, "I can testify to what UNICEF means to children because I was among those who received it." Because she had a personal connection to the issue, her advocacy was more forceful and authentic than it would have been otherwise. The unselfish journey that Audrey was about to go on was about to take a turn that would destroy her heart. However, even the brightest lights may fade. Audrey's last days on Earth. After returning from a mission to Somalia with the United Nations Children's Fund in 1992, Audrey started experiencing acute stomach discomfort. She originally felt that it was just stress brought on by her trip, but she quickly realized that it was far more than what she had initially thought it was. It had been determined that she was suffering from a very uncommon kind of cancer known as pseudomyxoma peritoni. Audrey handled the news with the same poise that she had displayed throughout her whole life, even though it came as a surprise to her. The news that she had just 3 months to live was delivered to her by her son, and all she could say in response was, "How disheartening." Despite the prognosis, she underwent surgery in an attempt to remove the tumor. However, it was never successful because the disease had already spread to other parts of her body. Nevertheless, she continued to focus on other people even when she was battling cancer. The fact that she would not be able to continue her work with UNICEF was the first thing that she expressed regret over. During the dissemination of information on her sickness, Audrey's privacy was violated when journalists released specifics regarding her health. Instead of feeling resentful, she decided to use the time she had left to convey love and hope to people who were in her immediate vicinity. She kept the spirits of her family and friends high by talking about her future ambitions and dreams, even while her health was deteriorating with each passing day. She was given a 3-month prognosis by the medical professionals, according to her spouse, Wolders. It was agreed that she was terrified of the agony, but she did not have any fear of passing away. Audrey Hepburn had one last dream, and that was to spend Christmas at her cherished property in Switzerland. This wish was made as the year 1992 drew to a conclusion. Wolders claimed that she was in a state of panic and wanted to return to Switzerland. Because she would have most likely passed away during the journey from Los Angeles, we decided to take a private aircraft, which was made possible by the designer and close friend Hubert de Givenchy, as well as her companion Bunny Mellon. The pilots descended methodically to gradually lower the pressure. She was essentially being kept alive by artificial means. At the moment she arrived at her residence, she was encircled by the affection of her family and friends. Along with other loved ones who had gathered to experience these priceless moments, her kids Sean and Luca were present at the event. Love, laughter, and a sense of the significance of this meeting were all there in the air, and the atmosphere was filled with all of these emotions. During her last Christmas, Audrey prioritized the well-being of others. Wolders, Givenchy, and her son Sean were all given winter jackets by her, and she told them to remember her whenever they wore them. A gesture that was thoughtful, personal, and full of affection. It was a gesture that was typical of Audrey. Towards the end of the holiday, Audrey pondered with a sense of happiness on the gathering that had taken place. She said that it was the most gorgeous Christmas she had ever experienced. On the night of the 20th of January, 1993, Audrey Hepburn died away without any discomfort or distress. In a later reflection, her son Sean said, "I remember the important things that she left us with and the conversations that we had in the many weeks that have passed since she passed away. Even though she had lived a very full life, she passed away at the early age of 63. As a way to pay honor to his mother, Sean penned a book titled Audrey Hepburn, An Elegant Spirit. He wanted to demonstrate to the whole community what an extraordinary individual she was. He went on to say, "I would like to continue telling her story. The job that she was most passionate about is something that we wish to carry on. She felt a great deal of pride in the fact that she was able to make a contribution and accomplish something, particularly for the benefit of children. What particular facet of Audrey's narrative strikes a chord with you the most? Please share your opinions with us in the comments section. Always remember to give it a like and subscribe. If you found this movie to be enjoyable, please proceed to the next video that appears on your screen.